Tonight on BBC London, serial sex attacker Simon Levy will spend the rest of his life in prison for murdering 2 women and raping a third in the capital after police and then the courts left him free to kill.
He had been caught, he had been charged with offences. He was repeatedly by the police put before the courts seeking remanding in custody. The police were saying this guy's too dangerous to be on the streets, and between CPS and the courts they kept bailing him.
Also on the programme tonight, turning the heat with temperatures expected to peak tomorrow and a new amber alert in place, we look at the impact of London's latest heatwave.
London is preparing for its most significant solar eclipse in 27 years. I'm here on Primrose Hill, where there's thankfully no clouds, plenty of pairs of these, and hundreds of people all coming together to watch London go dark.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Alice Bandukravi. Our top story tonight, a serial sex attacker who murdered 2 women and raped a third in London has been jailed for the rest of his life. 40-year-old Simon Levy is also known to have attacked at least 10 women on public transport in the capital, seeking out busy carriages to assault passengers. Scotland Yard, the British Transport Police and the Crown Prosecution Service have all admitted failings in how they dealt with him. Well, we can go live to our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup, who's been watching today's sentencing at the Old Bailey. Sonia.
Well, we were here today to see Simon Levy sentenced, told he will serve the rest of his life behind bars. But questions remain over how such a dangerous predator, a known sex offender, was able to harm so many women for so long. Today, he was sentenced for the murders of 2 women and the violent rape of a third. But there were powerful victim impact statements read out in court today by family members. Carmenza Valencia Trujillo, remembered as a beautiful grandmother, her daughter said that she came to this country for a safer, better life for her children. And Cheryl Wilkins was described as a beautiful soul, a mum of 4. Her mother said that she hoped Levy would never walk the streets again. You are a threat to all women, she said. And the third woman, who was a rape victim of Levy, we can't say her name for legal reasons, but she described him as a parasite and as a monster. And as the judge told Levy that he would serve the rest of his life behind bars, some of the family members I was sitting next to held on to each other and gasped one word: yes. But the question remains over how much is being done to keep women safe in London and why these serious failings occurred. How was Simon Levy, a convicted sex offender, left free to murder and rape on London's streets and to sexually assault 10 women on the tube? This footage, filmed by one woman he targeted, showing how he hid his hand and chose busy trains to cover up his attacks. Footage shared with British Transport Police. But time and again, failings by the force and prosecutors meant he was repeatedly released on bail. He was able to prowl London's streets and target vulnerable women involved in sex work.
You're under arrest on suspicion of murder, OK? Do not have to say anything.
Even when the Met Police arrested him for murder last year, he was released without charge and went on to kill again.
So this is a really deeply upsetting case, and it really highlights the failings across the criminal justice system. It's not about responsibility in one agency or the other. What it really does is show the failings all the way across the criminal justice system. And what it does is call into question about why such clear patterns of offending appear to have been minimised or missed entirely.
So what did those failings include? When Levy was released from prison as a convicted sex offender in 2024, the Met downgraded his risk to women. The following January, he raped a woman in Tottenham, but the force closed its investigation. 2 months later, Levy killed Carmenza Valencia Trujillo in Walworth in South London, but was released without charge. Police did not class her death as a murder. 5 months on, he murdered Cheryl Wilkins in Tottenham. The Met's told the BBC it accepts her life could have been saved.
You're under arrest on suspicion of murder, okay?
What?
Levy had killed 2 women and attacked 12 others before he was finally taken off the streets. Today, he was told, he'll serve the rest of his life behind bars.
You ruthlessly exploited and took advantage of each of those 3 women for your own personal sexual satisfaction. In my judgment, the aggravating features significantly outweigh any mitigating features. This cannot be described in any way as a borderline case, and the appropriate order is a whole life order.
Although the Met Commissioner says the force could have done better, he describes the case as a whole system failing.
The most concerning aspect for me is the fact that he had been caught, he had been charged with offences. He was repeatedly by the police put before the courts, seeking remanding in custody. The police were saying this guy's too dangerous to be on the streets, and between CPS and the courts, they kept bailing him.
Today, the killer of Carmenza and Cheryl, 2 much-loved women, is finally behind bars, but he should never have been free to harm them. Well, I mentioned there that Levy had served a prison sentence. That was for sex attacks on 2 women. Now, one of those women has spoken to the BBC. She's called Laura, and she explained her shock at discovering that he'd gone on to harm others. Have a listen to what she had to say.
It's almost like my nightmare is in real life.
So what you feared was actually happening?
Yeah. What I would think about, dream about, have nightmares about, was actually happening. He was actually still out preying on vulnerable women. I feel like when I reported it, I was doing the right thing, and I thought I was doing it to protect other women from someone like that. He's evil. My instincts were right. My instincts not to go and get on trains have always been right then, because I just think to myself, he's been roaming loose. I feel really let down by the police. I feel really disappointed, not just the police, the judges that were involved that kept bailing him out, the CPS, all of them. They're all as guilty for allowing him to continue to do what he was doing.
Well, Laura is not the only person, of course, who've expressed those concerns. Campaigners have been saying to us, look, we are 5 years on from the murder of Sarah Everard, a case that you'll remember was supposed to be a watershed moment, a wake-up call on looking at the safety of women and what's being done to protect them. And yet we are still talking about such widespread failings across the criminal justice system. Now, police have also said that they believe that Levy may have targeted other women, and they've encouraged any other victims to come forward.
Sonia, thank you. Well, joining me now is Harriet Wistrich, a solicitor who runs the Centre for Women's Justice. Thank you for being here. You've represented victims of the black cab rapist John Warboys. That was over 20 years ago. Of course, 5 years ago, we had the dreadful killing of Sarah Everard. Has anything changed?
Regrettably, clearly not. In this case, we see that the failures that we were promised by previous investigations would not happen again, that systems would be put in place, that we would avoid such failures taking place, have not happened in this case. Those cases both involve the Met Police who were called by Louise Casey, Baroness Louise Casey, as institutionally misogynistic as well as racist and homophobic, and yet even after those reports, after the Angelini report looking into the Wayne Couzens case, and all the recommendations that have been made, we're still seeing this level of failure. And Mark Rowley may say this was a whole system failure, which he's correct. It wasn't just the Met Police, but really the Met Police are the primary primary responsibility for the.
And you've argued to disband the Met Police. Is that right? Restructure them somehow. How would that help reduce violence against women and girls? And how would that work in practice? What would we have?
Well, I haven't said that lightly. Over the last 30 years, I've been campaigning around violence against women. I've worked on many cases of police failures, and I've never yet said that this must be the solution. But it just now feels that if, even after all the learning from all the previous cases, the Met Police are still failing so abysmally, then maybe we have to look at something completely different. Maybe we need to look at a complete restructuring of the police. We know, in fact, that the government have a white paper which is looking at police reform and some restructuring of the police. Maybe that is the opportunity to really look at how we can make police much more accountable and much more focused on tackling violence against women and girls.
OK, well, thank you very much for your thoughts. Thank you for coming in this evening. Harriet Wistrich, Centre for Women's Justice. Thank you. Now, if you've been affected by the story, the BBC has put together a list of organisations which may be able to help. Just search for BBC Action Line. Now, almost everyone seems to be talking about this evening's solar eclipse. Let's go live to our reporter, Matt Graveling, who's at Primrose Hill. Matt, what's happening over there?
Alice, festival vibes here in Primrose Hill, one of the choice viewpoints in the capital to see this once-in-a-lifetime experience. I mean, it was 27 years ago since we had something so significant. Who knows how long it's going to be till the next one. We are at the very top of Primrose Hill. We tried to get down to the bottom, but the signal with all of these mobile phones did not work. So it's been 27 years since the last one. The tech still doesn't work, but it is not going to be any less spectacular. The main thing to say, Alice, if you haven't got a pair of these or another contraption that you've made using the advice on the BBC, do not look directly at the sun. I cannot state that enough. Do not look directly at it. Right, bringing in Jen now from the Weather Centre. Jen, you're probably the most excited person here, it's fair to say. When that sun comes across, around 95% covered, we think, the moon comes across, what are we going to expect here? What's going to happen?
Well, of course, it's going to be getting a little bit darker. Obviously, not the kind of darkness that we'd expect with a total eclipse, but we'll see it getting a bit twilighty, a little bit eerie, perhaps. We might hear the birds, if we could hear any birds, a lot of noise and chatter here, but I think everything will fall a little bit more silent, and it might just start to feel a little bit cooler as well. Obviously, that sun is still very strong even at this time of the day, but once it's covered up, we start to feel that cooling effect ever so slightly, maybe by a degree or two.
There you go. I'm putting them on just to stress the point. Don't look at the sun without those. It's going to be as covered as it's going to get at 7:13 this afternoon here in London.
Matt, thank you. Lots of people there in Primrose Hill, which is why that picture wasn't very clear. Obviously a very busy evening out there. OK, time for a brief look now at some of the day's other stories. A huge fire is now under control at an industrial estate in East London, which caused a section of the A13 to be closed. Around 100 firefighters have been tackling the blaze on Ripple Road in Barking. Local residents have been advised to keep doors and windows closed. And thousands of households living near new or upgraded electricity pylons and substations could soon get money off their energy bills. The North London Reinforcement Project is one of those eligible for the discount scheme. Homes within 500 metres of a pylon could receive up to £250 a year off their bills. And London's cycleway network is now 5 times larger than it was a decade ago. Transport for London says it now stretches for 450 kilometres. That's up from 90 kilometres in 2016. The latest additions include new routes in Camden, Islington and Wandsworth. Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital Trust has told BBC London that violence and abuse against their staff has dramatically increased. The Trust, which covers 5 hospitals, says more and more staff are now at risk of attack from patients, their relatives and other members of the public visiting their hospitals. NHS England says staff are also leaving as a result of their experiences at work, and they're asking people to be more aware of the impact that potential abuse can have on those working in the NHS. Aisha Baksh reports.
Jess Turnbull is a senior nurse at St Thomas's Hospital in Waterloo, and she's been a sister on the accident and emergency ward for many years. But it's becoming an ever more difficult environment to work in.
There's been times where I've been punched and scratched and kicked, and yeah, it leaves you, I guess, thinking about it for a long time afterwards. I always find it quite horrible when somebody's threatening to be violent towards you, especially when they say something like, "I'm going to get you after work," because you don't want to feel unsafe leaving your shift at the end of the day either. So I've always found that's quite hard to hear. We regularly have to call police to support us, and we still need to help really unwell patients in and amongst all this that's going on. So it can be hard to carry on with your job when there's violence aggression going on.
Jess and other staff also get support from security guards who work around the clock across the hospital. Ike Obi heads up the team, and he says they also regularly experience physical and verbal abuse.
So the team deal with loads of abuse, threatening behaviour, racist, sexist, homophobic behaviour towards them on a daily basis. I think all of them deal with that really. One of our security staff was trying to restrain an aggressive patient, and he had his finger bitten off. So he had to undergo surgery here. Although he lost that finger, but he still had to undergo surgery. And after a while he left.
Both Jess and Ike say they'll carry on helping people who come to the hospital, but hope the public will treat them and their colleagues with more kindness. Aisha Baksh, BBC London.
Now, you've probably noticed that London is enduring its latest heat wave. Drought has already been confirmed and temperatures are expected to peak tomorrow with an amber heat health alert in place. Our political editor, Carl Mercer, has the story.
A yellowing East London from the air today. And East London on the ground. As London prepares for another spike in temperatures tomorrow, thousands around Ilford have just been trying to get by today. Thames Water says it has now fixed the broken pipes that caused supplies to 10,000 homes to suffer. But the queues for bottled water speak to the frustration of many.
Today I've been in the queue since 8 o'clock. And the day before that, on Monday, I was in the queue for 2 hours for Charlie Brown's, ran out of water. Then back here till 9:30 in the evening, ran out of water, came yesterday again an hour. And I'm in the queue again for another hour this morning, and it's absolutely terrible.
What's your message to Thames Water?
Oh, get your finger out, mate. Get your finger out the plug, out the dike.
It's completely out of order to be without water, without any facility at home, and have to queue for hours to get some water.
And what's your message to Thames Water?
Get yourself together.
Life-saving intervention would include instructions during a cardiac arrest or a...
The heat brings its challenges for emergency services too. In June and July, London's ambulance saw record numbers of calls in some of those weeks, and it's still busy.
We've got the right number of resources in place. Our people are ready. We're here to look after London when people need us. Obviously, not everybody does need an ambulance, so we've got expert clinicians working in our control centres across London who can help people over the phone as well.
It still means pressure on the handlers dealing with a constant stream of calls.
It is pressurised, it is stressful. Take it call by call, don't think about what could be coming in next, take it by what's happening right now and deal with that.
With temperatures set to hit at least 36 degrees in London tomorrow, they're expecting another very busy day. Carl Mercer, BBC London.
Now, it's been called a once-in-a-generation event. I am, of course, talking about this evening's solar eclipse, a partial eclipse for us here in the capital. In a moment, we'll be speaking with our reporter Matt, who is watching the eclipse unfold from one of London's best viewpoints, Primrose Hill. But first, a story of lost and found. 151-year-old photographic plates of a total solar eclipse have been found in the archives of the Royal Astronomical Society and will now be returned to their owner. Bryony Williams has the story.
These remarkable images were captured in 1875 in Thailand, a full eclipse imprinted on plates. They were found at the Royal Astronomical Society, but don't actually belong to them.
As we went through these plates, we discovered that there were two of them that didn't actually belong to the Royal Astronomical Society.
Who do they belong to?
They actually belong to the Royal Society. We originally borrowed them in 1897. I'm not sure how long the loan was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't more than 100 years.
And what are we actually looking at then?
We are looking at 4 images of the sun obscured by the moon during the very last stages of a total solar eclipse.
So how are these captured through the telescope? Talk me through the process.
Well, a telescope would have been pointed towards the sun, which is about to be obscured by the moon temporarily, and the telescope would have captured those rays of light and channeled them onto a photographic glass plate that would have been covered with an emulsion called a collodion that would react to the light and capture the image of the eclipse during the moment of totality.
Physicist Arthur Schuster, who led the expedition over 150 years ago, went on to become an eminent scientist. Photographing the eclipse was hugely significant for his career and astronomy.
Well, it's time to get these back to where they belong, to the Royal Society. Keith, you're from the organisation. It's only a 10-minute walk from here, but we can't do that because they're too precious.
No, let's get a camera.
OK, over to you.
Thank you.
A short taxi ride away and the plates are home.
This is the longest loan we've ever done, so I think it's lucky we didn't calculate the fines for the RAS, or they would have been in trouble. But we were just pleased to have them back. Well, it's wonderful that the pictures were found. They relate to a paper published in the Philosophical Transactions giving the scientific results of the 1875 Eclipse expedition to Siam.
Solar eclipses have been studied for hundreds of years. The way we document them may have changed, but our fascination with them hasn't. Bryony Williams, BBC London.
Well, the Royal Observatory in Greenwich is live streaming the eclipse, and we can see some of that on the screen now. It's one of the safe ways to watch it. There are warnings not to look directly at the eclipse without protecting your eyes. So, for example, try and use those special solar eclipse glasses. And we can join our reporter, Matt Graveling, now, who's with the crowds gathering to see the partial eclipse at Primrose Hill, arguably one of the best vantage points in London. Matt, how is it looking there?
Alice, take a look. You said arguably one of the better vantage point. I think you'd have to go a long way to beat this one, right? Cast your mind back to August 1999. We had Tony Blair was Prime Minister, Ronan Keating was number one, and a pint of milk, that'll set you back about 34 pence. Well, fast forward to now, things are very different, but that was the last time we had such a significant solar eclipse here in London, and one is underway now. You may be able to see pictures that are being streamed live from Greenwich. And joining me now are people who are very well behaved because they're all clutching their solar specs. They've been taking the advice, don't look at the sun without these solar specs. I'm going to bring yourself in now. Why was it so important for you to come down here and see this, what people are calling once in a lifetime opportunity?
I think the last time I was able to see the solar eclipse, I was literally like in year 3. So I think it's really important just to stay in touch with like the times. Like it's such a big event. I think it's important to sort of find community at this time and like be around other people.
We've been hearing the crazy things that may happen when it goes dark here. Birds may think it's time to go to bed. There's been talk about people feeling a little bit uneasy. I'll bring yourself in. How are you feeling with we're looking at about 15 minutes to go?
I don't feel uneasy. I think it's exciting actually. It doesn't feel like scary or anything. I don't see how it can be. It's like, I don't know, because as you said, it's once in a lifetime, so you don't get to see it often. So I think people should feel excited more than scared.
Charlie, I'm going to bring you in finally as well, also with your eclipse glasses. Put them on, let's complete the look. You've clearly come straight from work.
I have, yes.
Why was it important to be here?
I really just wanted to view it. I know that if you don't leave the UK, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. The next one's 2090, if I'm not mistaken. So I went out this morning, got my solar eclipse glasses, and here I am to try and view it.
How much did you pay for those?
I'd rather not say, but £10.
Oh, £10. Who knows what inflation will do to the price of solar specs the next time we get to see one of these, Alice. But this is definitely a lifetime opportunity, and many people here to make the most of that.
OK, now it's time for the weather with Jen, who's also in Primrose Hill. Jen.
Starting to feel a little bit cooler than it was earlier on, but the heat is going to be the story as we head into tomorrow. So let's take a look at our weather graphics. The first thing to note is that tomorrow the Met Office actually has an amber warning in force for extreme heat. It is going to be getting very warm again as we head into Thursday. But the big picture from today, if we look at the satellite, it hasn't been much cloud around. There's not much here now. It's been clear, and that's going to give us those lovely conditions to continue to view the eclipse as we head through the next hour or so. Through this evening and overnight, it will be dry and clear. It is going to be a warm night, the temperature dropping to between around 14 and 17 degrees Celsius to take us into Thursday. Now, as I mentioned, tomorrow the Met Office has that amber warning in force for extreme heat. That kicks in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the temperatures are going to be rising. So by mid-afternoon, we're expecting highs of 35, 36 degrees, possibly even 37 degrees Celsius. So an extremely hot day. Do take care if you're out and about. And it also means that as we head into Thursday evening, it is going to be another warm and sticky night. The temperatures in some parts as we head into Thursday night, not dropping much lower than 20 degrees. That's considered a tropical night. So that's as we head through Thursday into Friday. Friday itself is looking a little bit cooler, still dry, still sunny, very little rain in the forecast over the next few days. But the temperatures on Friday afternoon are looking that little bit cooler, maybe 32, 33 degrees Celsius. But it's really as we head through into the weekend that we'll start to see those temperatures really dropping a little bit. So by Saturday and Sunday, a little bit more cloud to shade that really strong sun. The temperatures around 25 degrees. And here's what happens as we head into Monday, a little bit of rain. Alice.
Rain, we haven't seen that for a while. Jen, thank you. Time just to have another quick look at the live shot there from the Royal Observatory in Greenwich. As you can see, bites increasingly taking over that shot of the sun, that live shot from the Royal Observatory. Exciting stuff, but still time for a look at the main news headlines. The Met Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, says there was a whole justice system failure in the case of a sex offender who was allowed bail. Simon Levy was given a whole life order after being convicted of murdering 2 women and raping another. And the Prime Minister has chaired a meeting of the government's Emergency Cobra Committee to discuss the UK's response to the extreme heat as temperatures are set to soar again tomorrow. London is being treated to its best solar eclipse since 1999, when 90% of the sun will be covered by the moon. Opticians have warned against using knockoff glasses to view it and say people should avoid looking directly at the sun. And of course, if you head to our website, you will find plenty more on the solar eclipse happening practically as we speak and all the other news stories. But for now, we